Hello, everyone. I am with Kate Putnam, and she has one of the most amazing angel stories I have ever heard. You can feel the presence of angels with her when she tells this story. So I'm so excited for you to hear it. Here she is. Kate, thank you so much for being on the show.
Hi, Julie. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited.
Yay. So tell us, this all happened just randomly one day. Take us back to where you were.
Okay, so it was a winter night in February of 2014, and I was driving home from Bretton Woods. I had gone skiing that day, and I was driving along, and it was a 2-lane highway. And so I had my cruise control on. It was a clear, normal night, and all of a sudden, something jumped in front of me. And so I kind of swerved out of the way. And as soon as I swerved, my car hit a snowbank, and it launched my car about 8 feet into the air. And at that exact moment, I felt arms like around me, pulling me closer to my chair, to the seat. And then I made impact, my car spun around, and then it landed in the middle of the road, and that was it. And so I could hear OnStar. It started calling. Actually, I called it out as a fatal car accident, and I think it's because of the way my gear shifted. That was in the passenger seat. And so I was just kind of sitting there dazed, and all of a sudden these two guys run up to the door, and they're like, lady, get out right now. And I was just kind of like, what? And the guy opened the door, and he unbuckled my seatbelt and pulled me out really fast. I was like, whoa, slow down. We're not going anywhere. And I grabbed my purse, and so we were just standing outside of my car, and they were just normal hicks from New Hampshire. They had Carhartts, flannel shirts, baseball caps, and we were just kind of standing there talking, and I was like, I could hear the police sirens coming now. And I was like, the cops are on their way. And they're like, we got to go get pizza. And I was like, wait a second, please just wait with me. Cause I was like in the middle of nowhere. There were no lights because I had to hit the telephone pole. And they're like, no, we got to go. And so they turned around and walked away. And I walked down to where I knew a hotel was. And so I got there. And then, the police checked me out, and they sent me home. And the next day, went back, and I was speaking with a police officer, and she was asking me, because in my statement the night before, I had told her about these two guys that had helped me. And she's like, tell me more about these guys. And I just explained it. It wasn't, they got me out of the car. And she just paused and got really, really quiet. And she said, those were the Ainsworth brothers, and they died in this location about 5 years ago on their way to get pizza. And you're the third motorist that we've heard of that they've helped. And at that moment, I'm getting goosebumps right now just talking about it. At that moment, I just realized how blessed and lucky I was to not only walk away, but to have help get out of the car, because the telephone pole was hanging over my car, and it was sparking. And I wasn't scared though at the time. I was very calm, actually, unusually calm. And so that's it. And where they walked to was the cemetery that they're actually buried in. And after this police officer told me about them, I went to their gravestone, and I left them flowers and thanked them for helping me and saving my life. And at that time, I always believed in a higher power, and I call him God, but I've always believed in it. And so that was just one of those life-changing moments. So that's my story.
Yeah, that is beyond incredible. So I've got some questions for you, because when you talked about this story, I could feel the presence of the gentleman helping you get out of the car, but the presence of the arms keeping you back and kind of holding you back in the car went immediately upon impact. When you say you felt arms reach out and kind of hold you back to the seat, that energy felt different.
Yes, and that's how I felt. At the time, I wasn't really feeling that, but at the time, it was almost like someone was sitting behind me in the driver's side back seat and reached their arms like all the way around me and just like held me really close to my seat. So the airbag nothing hit my face. I didn't have any, but that was a presence I couldn't see. And that was just a feeling like I just felt very safe. Like someone was holding me. And I always thought maybe it was like Archangel Michael or God or Jesus. I didn't know who it was, but it was definitely something very calming. Like I was very calm and I felt safe during the entire situation.
Yeah, it was Archangel Michael. He's a big part of your spirit team. And, but I got to tell you, there's other energy in that car too, which is your grandparents. I see grandmother and grandfather on the other side at that time. And they're both in the car with you, helping you through this. So I don't know if you felt their presence as well.
Yeah. Actually, I did know that Archangel Michael was a huge part of my spirit team, but the grandparents part is new. Like I have never heard that part of it before. I feel them, both actually all the time. And, but that just made me so happy to hear that you could feel them because I didn't recognize that. I didn't even think of it, but I love that. So that just made me so happy.
Yeah. So let me ask you this too, because I got to tell you, I've seen so many car accidents and worked with so many people who have been in car accidents. And what I see is that a lot of times it is imperative to get somebody out immediately because the car can spark and sometimes the safety belts don't end up working to get you out. They kind of get locked or jammed. And so that's what they keep showing me. The two gentlemen on the other side is that they were worried about the seatbelt jamming and that they knew they just had to get you out right then and there. Were you conscious the whole time at the end?
You know, I honestly don't know. And now that you say that, I think I was like, I think I was trying to get out. Now that you say that, because I was so dazed, I think I even tried to start my car. Like, what just happened? So I don't know if I was conscious until he like pulled me out. Because I don't remember like seeing the impact, and I don't remember until I saw those guys like standing right there.
And that's what they're showing me. The big part of them coming in too was just waking you up and getting you out of the car so that you didn't fall asleep and stay there.
Oh, okay. That 100% makes sense. Okay. Wow. Yeah. Oh, I'm so glad that you're talking to me about this. This is wonderful. Oh my gosh, that totally makes sense.
I know. It's so crazy because one of our podcast listeners sent me, you had posted something about this on Facebook and it went viral, didn't it?
Oh, I don't know, because what happened was I got an email from Facebook that they removed it as a spam. And I was like, I didn't even know how to argue. I was like, okay. And so I don't know if it went viral because it all of a sudden wasn't on I recently got off of Facebook. Like I posted that and then it was a lot of introspection. Like I don't think I really realized the effect that this all had on me until I had to write that essay. And then I could process it all. And so I don't know if it went viral, but I did hear like random people all over the world have been reaching out to me about it. So
yeah, I think it did. I'm pretty sure it did because it had a ton of likes when they sent it to me, like sent me a screenshot. So I reached out to you to see if you'd be on the show, and thank you so much for coming on. Because I appreciate it's hard to just kind of relive it and to tell it again, but the presence of angels in your story in the car before and then after, it's incredible.
Yeah, it really is. And speaking with people that really understand it and get it makes it feel like, okay, I wasn't crazy. Like I know this happened. And so it gives me like validation, and make, like, because I would have never thought of making, I don't know. It just made me feel like it was real. So I appreciate you guys all listening and taking the time to listen. I'm so grateful, and I feel so blessed.
Oh, no, of course. I got another question for you. Your grandmother, did she pass away before, because you have children, right? She keeps showing me kids. Did she pass away before some of your kids were born? Because she makes me feel like it's important for you to know that she got to know your kids from the other side. And she's a big part of their spirit team from over there.
Oh my gosh. I could start crying. Actually, those are my sister's kids. And right before my grandma died, the three or four, I guess there were three of us at the time, my sister and her very young child, flew to Michigan, and we introduced her to the baby, and she was like a grandma, very excited, but then she passed away very shortly after that. And I didn't think that she remembered because she had a dementia then. And so I didn't know that but I do feel like a very strong feminine presence around it's my little niece, but I've been involved with their life. But maybe if you can see kids for me, that would be awesome.
Yeah. No, it's definitely, she is showing me kids for you. Have you guys been trying? That's
yes.
Okay.
Yes, actually.
Sometimes what happens is the egoic mind flares at different times. So you have two different thought systems. You have the thought system within your brain that pretty much never stops, right? It just talks all day long. And it really tries to sabotage us a lot of the time. There's a secondary thought system, which is your intuition, which is how grandma talks through to you. It's not going to sound like her voice. It's going to sound like your own internal dialogue. And
okay.
Do you have your heart on two children, though? Like, you see yourself having two? Because she's very specific about the number.
Yes, and my sister also has two children who are here on this side right now. And I'd be so happy with any child, if that's like the path I'm supposed to take. If not, then I get that. But if it's Bethy, my little sister, then those are her. But if you're seeing number two, then that would be awesome. In a good way? Oh, good.
Yes. So what she's showing me is just to tell you about the egoic mind and the intuition, because what the egoic mind does is you have to start to see your thoughts and just recognize when they're saying, oh, you know what, this kid thing, it's never going to happen. Because that's what happens is, subconsciously, we start to think these things, and she wants you to know that's not true. That because she shows me, I told you before, she was showing me her holding your children on the other side.
Right.
Yeah. So she has your children on the other side, and they will come through in this lifetime. You guys are meant to have children, and you just have to keep that hope and that faith, okay?
Okay. That's exactly what I needed to hear, because I was getting a little bit like, oh, I'm getting too old or blah, blah, blah. So that just was so reassuring. That was awesome. Thank you. I'm so glad you shared that with me.
Yeah. How long have you been with your husband?
Well, okay, that's a whole other thing. We broke up, and he now has children of his own. And so I have been on this, like, a journey by myself. And so I was actually, when you said you guys, I was like, oh, good, you can see a partner for me, like a man that I love and that loves me back and isn't, I don't know, because my husband and I, he was wonderful, but it didn't work for us. So we had to break up. We broke up.
Yeah, she wants to validate that, because she showed me how hard that was for you, but that you initiated, being strong and moving on in that situation. And she wants to validate for you that that was the right decision to make. she also wants you to know that things can look so different in just 1 year, that it doesn't take for forever, right? That you can meet somebody and know,
right,
within 1 year, right? So don't feel like this is some big Mount Everest to climb, that it's impossible, that it's going to take for forever. You're just really waiting for that feeling of, this is the right one.
Right. Yes, that's exactly what it is. And I know that when they come or he comes, it'll be like, I've been waiting for you. That's how I feel. Like, oh, there you are. I'm like, oh, this is wonderful. This is such a pleasant surprise. Oh, thank you so much, Julie, for sharing this stuff with me and telling me what you can see. I'm so happy. I feel elated.
Oh, good. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I do believe that post went viral. If you have other people who reach out about their angel stories, I'd love them if you send them over to us too, because we're always looking to feature new ones on the show.
Oh, I absolutely will. And I did. After this, I will connect you guys. And because in my in my inbox, I got a ton of really neat stories that were very similar. Like, oh, that happened. Something similar happened to my mom or me. So yeah, I'd love to share those guys with you.
Oh, thank you so much. And I love that it happened in New Hampshire for you, because that's where my dad was living at the time when he passed away. And he was a flannel shirt person too.
He was. Did he wear Carhartts?
Oh my gosh. He used to go out too in the middle of the night when it was snowing, because he knew how to drive in the snow. He would have chains on the truck, tires, and he'd be able to pull people out. So he all the time. Yeah. So he's my angel, and I always credit this podcast to him, because without him passing, I wouldn't have known that I had this gift, and I wouldn't be able to share this message on this podcast. But there's just a lot of synchronicities in your story that tie to him as well.
Oh my goodness, that's wonderful, because these guys, according to the police, were on their way home from snowmobiling. They had just gone snowmobiling and they were going downtown to get some pizza. And so they were just like regular guys. Where in New Hampshire did your dad live?
Barry.
Okay. I think that's the middle of the state, which is actually right where he could help the most, because that's, I would say, like the city, if I had to. So he could help so many people there. Oh, that's exciting. Oh, I love that.
Oh,
have you come to visit him? Yeah. Did you come to visit him when he was here?
Yeah, I didn't come during that time. We weren't speaking at that time, but I did go out for the funeral that his second wife hosted.
Oh, good. And I'm feeling like there's a lot of healing still. That like there's so that that I feel like there's a lot of healing left. If like the bow is on there, but the present's not fully healed yet, that your heart is still like healing from that.
Yeah, it was really traumatic, because his I really tried to not let my egoic mind get in the way on this. His third wife didn't call to let us kids know. And there was just a lot that went down with financials and money, and people taking things that weren't theirs, that were actually belonging to my brothers. And that is where my heart is still healing.
Yeah. And he's like, I can see him being like almost hugging you too, and being like, don't you worry about that. Like, that's nothing. Yeah. This is the fun part. Yes, that's what I can feel him being like, come on, kiddo, like, shake that off. That's nothing now.
Yeah. Yeah, totally. And that's what I hear all the time when I feel bad for the boys, because the boys were supposed to be able to go to college, and there was supposed to be money for them to be able to go to school. Like my sister and I went to school, and that's all we wanted was that money to go to them. And the third wife would not allow the boys to have the money. And because my dad was a federal employee, the money that was owed to the boys in a state court order was not given to them because the federal court, where all the money came from his work, it superseded the state court. So that's yeah.
And then did one of your brothers like get a trade job, like go to a trade school?
He did.
Yes. Well, okay. Because
he's more like a chef.
Yes. Okay. So that was his path. And if he had gone to college, this is what I'm seeing right now or feeling is that he would have gotten like a desk job and just kind of gone through the grind. But because he didn't do that, like even though he thought that he was supposed to go, he's really supposed to use his hands, and he's doing what makes his heart sing, like what makes him happy. Even if there's resentment, it's really like he's doing what he's supposed to be doing.
Yes, that's so true. Oh, I love that. I get a surprise reading.
What?
I get a surprise reading.
That's so, I know that was a pleasant surprise because you never know, and if I don't always tell people that I can see or do that stuff at all but I'm in a safe environment and I'm like, oh, I'll tell you, like, tell me what you see and I'll tell you what I see.
That is so awesome. No, I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming on to share your story because it really does inspire hope to hear these stories and to share these angel stories around the world. And what a blessing that they were there with you in your car that day and outside of your car to help you get out.
Yes, and I also want to give my mom a ton of credit. She has been praying on her knees for us, like our children, since forever, the day I can remember. And one thing like that I felt like I need to say is like, don't forget to go inside and like get your strength from within and talk to your spirits and talk to God and make it a part of your journey too. Because anyone, if you're open to it, it's there for you.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I love that. Thank you so much for being on the show today, Kate.